A board paper is basically any document, any report, any memorandum that is used by the board of directors in order to make decisions. A board paper is a very critical document in decision making for the board because it provides the information that guides the board in making decisions and guiding policy. And the preparation of the board paper and the effectiveness of board decision making depends on the quality of the board papers that are submitted to the board.
Voice. Another week, another episode, another great topic, another great guest as well. We're going to talk about board papers and this being a strategic tool in decision making. What are they and what are they all about? Our guest today is FCS Patrick Mulwa, and he's an expert in this area. He'll be helping us with this conversation. FCS Patrick Mulwa, welcome to the show. You say thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. So once again, welcome FCS Patrick Mulwa.
Thank you.
And also start this conversation with talking about the board paper. From just a simple definition, for the people who may be wondering what is this all about, or some of them just heard about it right now on the topic. What is this document we're talking about?
Okay, thank you. A board paper is basically any document, any report, any memorandum that is used by the board of directors in order to make decisions.
Wow, I love that. It was straight to the point. Let's now get into why this board paper is the quality, what a board paper and why is the quality of the board paper so critical in strategic decision making. Why is it such a critical document to have?
A board paper is a very critical document in decision making for the board because it provides the information that guides the board in making decisions and guiding policy. That is why it's very important. And the preparation of the board paper and the effectiveness of board decision making depends on the quality of the board papers that are submitted to the board.
I want to dig deeper into that and ask you, because you've mentioned about preparation of the board paper. That means there's a process that goes into it. Would you care to put some color into it?
Okay. So essentially, board papers are prepared by management. They go to the board through the relevant committees of the board. So the starting point is management. Management prepares the board papers, submits them to the relevant board committees. The board committees interrogate, internalize the content and make recommendations to the board.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. At least that gives a context of understanding. Still on the same subject, I wanted you to help us, learn how to strike a balance between providing enough details in a board paper and keeping it concise enough for efficient decision making.
Now, board papers are basically of three types. There is a board paper for decision making, a board paper for discussion, and a board paper for noting. So the amount of information contained in the board paper will depend on the purpose of the board paper. But one way of making sure that you have a concise board paper is to have a template for a board paper across the organization. The Institute of Certified Secretaries has developed a governance standard on board papers. That is governance standard number 5. So it describes the structure of the board paper and the content of the board paper. Now, to make it concise, you have to ensure that you do not include any operational details in the paper. Only strategic issues should be presented in the board paper. Focus on quality, not the quantity of the information that is in
Yes.
the board paper,
Okay.
and make sure the board paper contains all the relevant information that the board requires in order to make a decision.
Okay.
Otherwise, that issue, when it comes before the board, will be deferred for lack of sufficient information for decision making.
Okay.
So it is important that that document is as concise as possible, because the time that is available for debate within the board is also limited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does every board require to have a board paper?
Very interesting question.
Yes.
Yeah, because when boards meet, they discuss business that is on an agenda, and every agenda that is in that meeting
Yeah.
must be supported by information. That information is delivered in the form of a board paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a very basic question that I want to ask you, and you know, it's what we call board 101.
Yes.
What is the difference? Someone may say, because I have seen company secretaries.
Yes.
We have heard of minutes.
Yes.
And now there's this board paper.
Yes.
Is there a difference in all these documents?
The general, broad definition of a board paper is any document that is submitted to the board to assist the board in decision making. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, that can include the agenda itself, a notice. It can also include minutes of previous minutes that are before the board for confirmation. Then we have the agenda papers. Yeah.
Okay.
The agenda papers are what we specifically now consider as the board papers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the ones that guide the agenda, provide information that is required by the board in order to make decisions.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good class. That's a good class, at least, to understand those differences. So let me talk about then, now that we're talking about board papers, there must be a lot of mistakes that people are making, what we could call the common mistakes that you've observed in preparation or presentation of board papers. Could you highlight a few?
Yeah, a number of mistakes I've observed. I've been a board secretary now for almost 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with my interaction with boards, and also in my training career, I've been able to interact with corporate secretaries from different organizations, and they've given me samples of board papers. Now, some of the common mistakes that you have with board papers, one is board papers that are too long. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So it makes it very difficult for the board members to go through the board papers, internalize them, and be able to contribute to discussions at the board level. So that is one mistake. Now, another mistake is submitting board papers too late, so that the board members are not able to go through the board papers, understand them to inform decision making. There is also another mistake that I've observed. Sometimes you get a board paper that provides selective information, what we call sifting. So a board paper is supposed to be quite objective. It should be able to tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because the board must be informed about what is happening within an organization. Yes.
Okay. I love those. I mean, I could almost summarize them to too late, too long, and too undetailed. And I love that. Wow, and I hope you're learning a lot of these things from what you're talking about with Bwana Patrick. Let me move on to another conversation that I wanted to ask you, still on the same matters. How can board members use these board papers that we're talking about today to really better engage in critical discussions and make more informed decisions then?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good question. One, it is important for board papers to receive the board papers in good time.
Yeah.
Supposed to go through them, internalize them, and form positions. So that when they come and engage in discussion and debate on those board papers, they are making decisions from an informed point of view.
Okay.
Another important thing is for board members to be inquisitive.
Yeah.
Remember, board papers are originating from management, presenting the position of management.
Yeah.
Now, the position of management might not be the right position for the organization. So the board members, they need to be able to interrogate those papers, ask questions, ask for clarification from management if it's present in the meeting, and through the chairs of the committees who are presenting those board papers before the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, you know, I love sitting on the learning seat, and so has my viewers as well, most of them. And I want to put you on the spot a bit.
Yes.
You've had, and you have trained, and you have gone through a lot of board papers, as you've said, some of them that are too long, others not too detailed, others that are too late. And you have seen all those mistakes happen. And sometimes, as you have alluded to, there could be the position from the management being presented to the board, and probably there's no agreement from both sides. The board probably decides otherwise.
Yes.
Have you seen an example, without mentioning names?
Yes.
You could create a scenario where this conflict existed, and, you know, I don't know how you navigated that. Could you give an example?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I've seen a situation where a board paper is presented requesting for a board to make a decision. Yeah. And the information that is provided to the board is one-sided.
Yes.
It has not looked at the pros and cons of the decision. So management is hoping that the board is not going to be inquisitive enough to ask, and what is the other side of this coin?
Yeah.
But the board was alert to the fact that the position that is being presented by management may not be the ideal for the organization. So they had to actually defer that agenda until more information is provided by management.
Okay. We have seen a lot of things happening, especially evolving technologies, digital things happening, and I'm sure even the boards have not been spared as well.
Yes.
And you seen these transitions happening. I wanted to ask you the question, with this increase of digitization and board processes, how do you see the role of board papers evolving in the future?
Oh, thank you for that. Technology is with us.
Yes.
And we cannot avoid it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So one of the impacts of technology on board papers is change in the form of a board paper. Because board papers in physical paper, they are structured and submitted as a physical document. But nowadays, with the development of board portals, e-boards, board papers, the substance has not changed, the content has not changed, but the form of presentation has changed.
Okay.
Because these board papers are now being prepared, transmitted, and received, and you engage with them electronically through a board portal.
Yeah.
So that's one way in which technology has changed board papers.
Yeah.
Now, the other issue about technology and board papers is the security issue. Because board papers are now being transmitted electronically, and there is the possibility of cyber risks. The content of board papers is usually sensitive information to an organization. So that is another area in which then also in the use of board papers, management and boards are also using artificial intelligence to make them better understand, interrogate the board papers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how technology is changing board papers. And you can actually use AI to prepare board papers.
But anyway, I know we can, but we also have to have the ethics of just not presenting something, right?
Yes, yeah. So that would be the starting point, because a machine cannot be ethical.
You're right.
Yeah. So it will give you the initial output. And you're now supposed to use your judgment to ensure that whatever is contained in that document is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're right. As they say, we cannot ignore technology. We have to see how to work with it.
Yes.
As we near the close of this conversation, one of the things that I've also seen is, and you've alluded to a bit of it, is future trends. But when you talk about both papers and the conversation you're talking about, it really just touches on the bottom line, which is governance.
Yes, governance.
And I just wanted to ask you, what future trends do you foresee in governance audits, particularly in Kenya and other African contexts, in line with our conversation today?
Okay.
Yeah.
So governance cannot run away from technology. And the trends that we are seeing nowadays is the adoption of technology in carrying out, for example, governance audits. So you can be able to carry out a governance audit off-site.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the current practice is where the governance auditors have to come to the organization and do an in-site audit.
Yeah.
But now with technology, and that is a trend, you can be able to carry out that audit
Yeah.
off-site.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, another development in governance audits is if you look at governance audit as it is practiced now, much of it is voluntary governance audits. Yeah. But we are seeing a trend towards statutory audits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to give an example, here in Kenya, the Capital Markets Authority
Yeah.
has implemented a code of governance for issuance of securities to the public that requires that listed companies have to carry out a governance audit. In the public sector, for state corporations,
Yeah.
the code of governance for public state corporations, that in Mongozo, as a provision for the conduct of
Yeah.
governance audits. So there is that movement towards from voluntary audits
Okay.
to statutory audits, audits that are required by the law.
By the law.
Another trend is the emphasis in governance audits on what we call ESG,
Yeah.
environmental, social, and governance.
You're right.
Yeah. Then also there is increased emphasis on auditing the technological environment within the organization. That is what we call a cyber
Yeah.
risk
Okay.
audit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then another trend, and that here in Kenya is being led by the Institute of Certified Secretaries,
Yes.
is codification of governance standards and guidelines
Okay.
that can be adopted by organizations in order to guide
Yeah.
governance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the trends that we can see developing in the field of governance, governance audits.
All right. So finally, FCS Patrick, there could be someone listening to this conversation and saying, my goodness, I have a board, I have not had this board papers, probably just 2 minutes, those kind of things and everything else.
Yes.
But I'm happy that you've mentioned that at ICS, we are helping out in this. I want you to speak to that. What would you tell them, anybody who maybe may want to have this expertise come into place in their organization?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Institute of Certified Secretaries is a statutory organization.
Yeah.
It is established by the Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya Act.
Yeah.
The mandate of the Institute is to promote governance and good governance. So organizations that, after undertaking a gap or needs analysis, and they determine there is an area in governance that they require capacity building, they can get in touch with the Institute of Certified Secretaries, and they can be able to discuss and come up with a needs analysis which determines the areas of training intervention that are needed in order to enhance governance in those organizations.
Yeah.
Now, organizations that want to be evaluated in terms of governance, they can also participate in the Champions of Governance Award.
Absolutely.
So this is an award organized by the Institute of Certified Secretaries in order to evaluate governance in organization and award those organizations that have done well in terms of governance.
Governance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is an intervention.
Yeah.
And that is one way in which organizations can promote good corporate governance within themselves.
Wow. FCS Patrick Mulwa, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you too for giving me this opportunity for this interview.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you have it, FCS Patrick Mulwa speaking about board paper as a strategic tool in decision making, especially for your boards. Don't just go there saying you're not informed, and you can come right here at this institute to get proper and get structured as well in your decision making. Thank you so much for your time. That's it for now.